All right, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. Just kidding, me and Chris were just flexing in the background and joking around. But wanted to welcome you to Hump Day Hangouts episode 376. Today is the 26th of January, 2022. Looking like we got a good amount of questions. We've also got at least one really cool announcement I think you're going to really like, and we probably got more than that. But real quick, wanted to say hi to the guys before we jump in, make some announcements, and then hop into your questions. So Chris, start with you, man. How you doing today?
Doing good. Was out earlier today. I don't know, like 2 hours in the cold, 2 degrees Celsius. So
Jesus.
quite a bit frosty out here. I was not used to that, but yeah, like doing the best as I can, get into fresh air, relax a bit, and back to work and get some things done.
Nice. I'm going to be doing the same after Hump Day Hangouts. It's about 3 degrees Celsius here. So I'm going to go out and run around in that. So long as for me, it's that like, I can't do the conversions off the top of my head, probably like 5 below Celsius. That gets like getting colder than that. Then it starts getting real cold. So
Yep.
Speaking of cold, Bradley, how you doing? What's going on the East Coast? You got snow again, or what's going on this week?
No, it's cold, but that's it. I mean, it's been pretty clear. So I don't have much to complain about right now.
Fair enough. Well, I know you've been busy. What do you mind telling people a little bit about what you've been up to, or is that hush hush?
No, there it goes. I couldn't figure out how to make the Zoom window bigger again. Yeah, I'm working on the SOPs for the Google Business Process checklist. I've been saying that I was going to have them completely done, the full SOPs, and people sometimes confuse the difference. Okay. The checklist is a checklist, hence the name checklist. Because some people want to, say, well, it's not an SOP. And I never said it was an SOP. I said it's a checklist. That's the title. But anyways, the checklist was a point of reference. Like it's just to help you to kind of follow along with items that should be done. And there's also a misconception about the checklist, which I'm pretty sure there's a video, the first module, that specifically states not everything needs to be done in the checklist to get results. That's only for the most competitive locations. A lot of the times you get the first 3 modules done, which is all the on-page factors, setting up the tier 1 entity assets, and then doing the Google Business post silos. And once you're done with those 3 things, you start on the tier 1 link building module and just start going through that. And just as you complete separate tier 1 link building modules or, tasks within that module, a lot of the times you'll start to rank. If it's a low to medium competition area, most of the time you will rank at some point during that process. If it's a medium, a higher competition, or as I would call like an extreme competition, you may have to go through all of that tier 1 link building module and then begin the second tier link, tier 2 link building module. It's very rare that I have to complete 100% of that checklist in order to get results. It's only in the very most competitive spaces that I've had to do that. So I think there's a misconception. People look at that checklist and they go, man, that's a lot of work. I don't want to do all that. Okay, well, you don't have to do all of it, first of all. But if for the most part, in some cases, perhaps, but at least it's a guideline, right? But so for mastermind members, I've been promising for 2 months that I was going to have it done by January 28th, all of the SOPs, which is not just a checklist. It's full on training. It's video training with step-by-step checklist underneath on how to execute each one of those tasks. And you know how it is when you were in school and you want, like you had a big project and you knew about it for 3 months and then like you waited till the last week to do it. Well,
but you get 90% of the work done in the last week.
Yeah. You sprint at the end. That's kind of what happened. I started.
You call that deep work, man. Deep work.
Yeah. I mean, and that's true. And I started doing it weeks or months ago, but I was also concerned about starting to do all those processes, and then with the shake up with Google Business, kind of wanting to push people to making edits in the SERPs instead of in the dashboard and all this kind of stuff. I was worried about that, so I put it off, and I just started on Monday really trying to complete that. And I spent 3 entire days recording videos and creating the process doc inside of Flowster, and I'm a little bit, probably close to maybe 60% done. And I've still got a lot more to do, but, I don't think it's going to be 100% on Friday. I doubt it will be 100%, but it's going to be very, very far along. And I can give that to the mastermind members on Friday. And what's the beautiful thing about Flowster is the template that I'm building. Anytime I add additional stuff to it, I just hit the refresh button and it will automatically refresh everybody's template who has imported it into their account. So nice. I'm going to suggest that people get Flowster, which is on our Hump Day Hangouts page, guys. It's free. Go get a free account. If you want the template, I'm thinking about possibly selling the template in the Flowster marketplace. You can get it for free as part of the mastermind membership, but it may be something that we add to the marketplace in the Flowster marketplace, where you can buy playbooks and templates and things like that for people that don't want to join the mastermind for whatever reason. So it may be in there. I'm not 100% sure on that. But like I said, what's cool about it is people can import the playbook or the template into their account. And what I always recommend is make a copy of that. And then you can edit the copy to assign it to VAs or to add your own, specific instructions and things to it. But that way you have a copy of the original, so that when I update it and I hit the update all button, it will update the original, but not whatever edits you've made in your copy of the template. So that way, if you have like proprietary stuff in your own template that you edited in, it won't affect that. It'll just, you'll be able to see what changes were made, if that makes sense. So for all of you mastermind members are watching the Hump Day Hangouts on Friday, I'm going to be releasing however far it is, which is still going to be plenty, because all I'll do is over the next few days beyond Friday is finish the rest of it. So it might be another, 3 or 4 days beyond Friday that I actually get it 100% complete, which is fine, because trust me, it's so thorough. It's going to take you 3 days to go through what I have anyway, which will give me enough time to get the rest of it done.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, I got to tag on to that. So if you're interested in that really in-depth training, Bradley, of course, mentioned that this is only for the mastermind. If you're watching live, you can find the link there, and if you're not watching this on the Hump Day Hangouts page, you can just go to mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Come join us. Not just for that, but also for the community, right? We talk about this a lot. Agency owners, consultants, maybe you're doing lead gen, some brick and mortar business owners. If you're really looking to form, the network, as well as get access to us and the training and one-on-one questions and answers, that's the place to be. So check it out, mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And I wanted to share one other thing. I was hopping on Facebook. I was letting people know that Hump Day Hangouts was going to be starting soon. And shortly before that, excuse me, came across a note that Jesper put on a Facebook post that we had up in the Facebook group. And he didn't even send us anything. He just popped it in there and said, hey, I want to give everyone $100 off of my courses. So if you didn't see him, go back and check out, what are we on, 376? Go look at episode 375. Great guest, helped answer questions. We talked a little bit about how Bradley came across him and his great training. And so what he's decided to do is give $100 off for his ultimate package that has 3 courses. So let me just share my screen real quick. So if you come across the link, it looks like this, and then this one right here, the ultimate course, combines all 3 of these, and it'll give $100 off if you use the coupon code semantic gift, all one word. So that was super nice of him. He just commented in the post and said, yeah, great feedback. I appreciate it, everybody. Here you go, $100 off if you buy that.
Nice. That's a badass deal. And Justin was a good dude, real nice guy. We've chatted a few times now, had him on last week for Hump Day Hangouts. He's got a lot of really cool things going on. So he's a good guy. I appreciate him. So I would recommend you guys go pick it up, especially the $100 off coupon for all 3 courses. It's $200 for all 3. It's just a no-brainer. So go do it. They're great courses.
Quick question. I think this is Harry. He's asking, where's the Hump Day Hangouts page Flowster link? Well, I would think up at the very top of the page is the GBP process link, which will take you to get the GBP process. And when you opt into that,
that's in Process Street. Look at the Hump Day Hangouts page, guys. The Flowster link is like the big banner on the right side that says Flowster. I'm
not seeing it.
You don't see it on the Hump Day Hangout page?
No.
I'll be damned. How do you not see that?
I see it, man.
Wow.
On the right-hand side. Or if you have a small screen, you gotta scroll down.
Yeah, let me
check the
this
Semantic
out.
Mastery Mastermind image of the 3 of us.
I think maybe, let me check the resolution on my screen. Maybe I got something weird going on here. Well, anyways, in the background, I'll try to grab a link and post that on the page. I'll take care of that while we're running here, because I guess I'm not the only one. Cool.
Below the image where Bradley is looking like I don't know.
Like I'm pissed off.
Cool. Well, besides that, guys, was there any other announcements you had that we need to go through before we dive into it? Because if not, we can get into it, and I'll go grab this link and put it on the page.
Sure. Cool. I don't have anything else.
Nope.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share my screen, and you can see what I'm seeing, Adam, which is it's great big imagery.
I've seen it
here.
before. Now that you mentioned it, I'm like, yeah,
it's right there.
No idea. All right. Well, I'll get that
link
and post it on the page.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right. Well, let's get into questions, and I think we start with BB. What's up, BB? Fancy seeing you here again. That's pretty good, man. All right. So first one is, hey guys, how much time do you invest in your business making money, and how much time do you invest in R&D, research and development for future payback? Do you work overtime for it? Yeah, shit, I do. I've got a bit of an obsession. So I'm working like 14, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, except for every 2 weeks when I get my daughter for 2 days. So I work 12 days on, 2 days off, 12 days on, 2 days off. And it's because it's winter time right now. When it starts to get nicer out, I'll start going on ATV riding trips and stuff. But yeah, I work a lot. We're building 2 other businesses, and that's kind of like, subsidiaries of Semantic Mastery. One of them is our content business. Another one is my link building service, which is only available to mastermind members currently, but it's like a link building and consultation service. And so right now, between the commitments to Semantic Mastery as far as training and the mastermind webinars and the SOPs that I've been promising, and then building Content Kings, and then managing my link building business, and then I still have an agency, and I also have my lead gen business. It's requiring that much time from me to kind of juggle all that stuff. So it's very difficult. But yes, do I invest in R&D? I have to. Research and development, I have to, because I lead a group of people that are looking for new techniques and stuff that works, and so I have to do it. And it's fine because I enjoy it. If I did, you can't be in the SEO business unless you're passionate about it. It's just, you can't. So fortunately, I have a passion for it. I enjoy it. I like the kind of research and development side of things as well. You just got to budget time out for that. But yeah, I mean, as far as, trying to also grow the business, unfortunately, I'm not really prospecting for my agency right now because I've got so many commitments with Semantic Mastery and the other businesses that we're building, the content business, link building business and such. And it's unfortunate because this is the best time of year for me to be prospecting for agency clients, because tree service contractors are typically a lot slower now because it's the winter season. So I actually went to hire a set of cold callers. I had an appointment with a cold calling company last week that was supposed to be a closing call. We had a discovery call. I pretty much agreed to what the terms were going to be. And we had a closing call scheduled last week on Thursday that I was supposed to hire 2 cold callers, like appointment setters, for my agency, so that I could, utilize them for prospecting my warm leads through my directory. I started a directory site that I use for prospecting, and that's been incredibly successful. The bottleneck is me, because I get a lot of warm leads coming in, but I don't have the time right now or the bandwidth to process those leads because I'm working on these other businesses. So I was going to hire 2 cold callers to, basically follow up with the warm leads and set appointments on my calendar for me to have the discovery call with them, which then leads to a closing call. Anyway, long story short, the son of a bitch that was supposed to close me didn't show up for the Zoom call. And about 2 hours later, I sent him 3 emails while I was in there the Zoom call for 10 minutes waiting on him. Sent him 3 separate emails, didn't get a reply. 2 hours later, I get a call from him, and he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Something came up and blah, blah, blah. If you'd like to proceed." And I was like, "No, I'm sorry, dude. You lost me." You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to close me on selling me appointment setters, and you didn't show up. You were a no-show for the appointment. So I'll go somewhere else. So I ended up hiring Ross Christofuli has what's called Rent-A-Caller. If you just go search Google, you'll see it's rentacaller.com, I think, but there might be some hyphens in there. Go.rentacaller.com is, I think, what it is. Anyway, I'm familiar with him. I bought some of his training in the past. So I just went directly to his site after the no-show, and I rented a cold caller for a week. But the earliest I could get, because they're booked up, was it was like March 8th through the 12th or something like that. So it's like the first or second week in March. So I went ahead and hired them. It's $495 it's $95 a day for 5 days minimum. So whatever that is, $475 for a week. But I just figured I'll try them because he runs an agency. So I know that, his callers ought to be pretty familiar with the type of cold calls that I would, and they're not necessarily cold calls because they're warm leads that I've generated through my directory, which, by the way, I do want to bring that up. I'm going to be doing a full-on directory site build. I've already built mine, but I don't like the theme that I've been using. So I found another one. One of my mastermind members turned me on to another directory theme and plugin It's a whole suite of tools specifically geared around directory stuff that I'm going to rebuild my site in, because I just don't like the particular theme that the developers keep changing shit all the time and it breaks stuff. So I have a group called Build with Bradley that I do every other Thursday. It's just an hour long. It doesn't necessarily, all mastermind members are invited. They're always welcome to attend, but not everybody has to be a mastermind member. That some people that are there aren't mastermind members because they came in on bonuses from other things. Mike Martin, Magic Page plugin. That was originally why I created that. Although I haven't been doing much with Magic Page just for various reasons. It's not anything wrong with that. I just haven't got around to that yet. Long story short, I'm going to be doing, I posted a poll in the mastermind about anybody interested in building a directory site. And we had like 20 at last count. I think it was 23 votes for yes, no votes for no. So I'm going to convert the Build with Bradley group. The next Build with Bradley group is tomorrow. And it's going to be the last one under its current format. It's still going to be called Build with Bradley. It's going to be every other Thursday. But we're going to shift the focus as of, I think, what is it, February 10th or whatever, that not tomorrow, but 2 weeks from tomorrow will be when we start the directory build process. It's been my most successful method for prospecting in my 10-year digital marketing or SEO career. So I think I've been trying to encourage mastermind members to build their own directory site, because I've got a whole system that I built with high level for prospecting that automates the follow-up and just it works great. I've got over 320 warm leads in my pipeline right now that I haven't followed up with. So it's very successful. It works great. But I kept telling people, just build your directory site on whatever theme you want. Don't use the theme I'm using because it's awful, but build your directory site. And then I can show you how to build the whole prospecting machine around that. And everybody stops right there. They don't want to build their directory. They want guidance on how to do that first. And so I decided that I'm going to rebuild my site, starting from scratch, like a staging domain or whatever. And then I'll transfer it onto the existing domain once I get it built. And so I'm going to guide the group on how to build a directory site first, so that then we can move on to the next phase, which is like using high level, which is what I'm using now for building the rest of the automations and the prospecting machine, which again is 100% automated. It took me months to build it, but it shouldn't take anybody else that long, because I've already done it, right? So with my guidance, my plan is to do like the whole directory build and prospecting machine build over about a 12-week period. So if anybody's interested in that, wants to do a niche directory, you can do a local business directory. I don't recommend that. You should niche down. It's much easier that way. You got the entire country or the world as your market if you're doing a niche industry specific directory. But if anybody's interested in that, again, join the mastermind. It's we've got a stupid deal for quarterly membership. So there's no reason why you can't join if you're interested in using a directory for prospecting. So anybody want to comment on that real quick?
Yeah, definitely. I like that one. I just want to circle back to what Bradley said towards the beginning. I think like the time I invest in my business making money and how much to R&D, like, I don't think that it really matters. And I wouldn't, like, I could say I spend 31.5 hours, and I'm not saying it's a bad question, BB. I'm just saying it doesn't really matter. And that's why I don't want to address it. I would just say that, yes, there's a split. I spend time invested in my business to make money, but also, it changes as you go too. Like, I spend time having a weekly team meeting. I talk with my project manager for 90 minutes a week, and like, that's maybe not billable time to a client, but it sure as hell is money or time I'm putting in that results in, a better team, more money. So there's things like that too. And then, how much time do you invest in R&D? I agree with Bradley. I would say that there's no like set time, but there needs to be time set for that. And what that looks like to you could really change. For me, when I'm maxed out hours, like during the week, I don't think creatively as well. I don't, like, subconscious isn't working. So I know that I just have to keep my active hours down. I cannot be booked up 8 hours a day. Like, I don't work well. I need to have an afternoon off, and it's not like I'm going out and staring at the wall. Like, I'll read. I've got a backlog of stuff to check out. I'll talk to people. I'll send some notes, or annotate stuff. Go out and do the R&D type of stuff. But I have to have that stuff blocked out, and I think a lot of people need that, right? Our calendars will get booked up if we don't book it out ahead of time. So I think that's really important, to block some time out once or twice a week. Again, this could look totally different for you, but I think the core idea there is making sure you have time, and not just saying, I'll do it when I have time available, because you'll never have time available. And then last but not least, I think Bradley touched on this, but being passionate about it really helps. and you can push for so long and get so far, but at the end of the day, like, are you going to work that overtime? Are you going to work on a Saturday to get something going for the business if you're not really passionate or interested about it? And it's like, yeah, maybe, but if you don't know if you're going to get paid off or not, because some of this stuff is a gamble, it's a risk, right? You're starting a new business or you're starting a new service. You minimize that, but it could be a risk. So it does help, if you're passionate about what you're getting into, that will take you really far.
Chris?
Well, yeah, like the truth is, like, making money should always be the #1 priority, right? And especially in our niche, research and development is usually the fun part. I know, like, for Bradley, it definitely is. For me, it is. Not sure about Adam, but I guess it is. So basically, the making money part needs to be first. Should be your first part of the time of the day. And R&D can be like later on as well. At least for me, like, things are easy, things are fun. On research and development, I'm always excited about doing those things. So that stuff is not hard to do. Like, the only thing that I can say is, like, we have one benefit. We basically need to do more research and development to actually build our courses out and keep you guys up to date. So you guys can make more money. So I highly recommend you leverage that.
Yeah. And then one thing I want to add on to that is, I think what Adam said is absolutely true. You have to pay yourself first. If you've ever taken any sort of kind of like financial, whatever, like responsibility courses or whatever on how to save money and all that kind of stuff, they always tell you pay yourself first, right? So if you earn a paycheck, take the first 10% and put that away in a bank, like, and before you pay your bills or anything else, right? You pay yourself first. That way, you know that you're saving. You become accustomed to live on a little bit less money. It just tends to work out. But that way, it's being paid, instead of, like, people always, a lot of people will say, I'll save if I have money left over. Well, you never have money left over. So you pay yourself first. That way you're guaranteeing to build that kind of savings account. Well, it's the same thing with, like, R&D. Pay yourself first, right? I host a Monday group, accountability group, with some of our mastermind members. Every Monday we meet for 30 to 60 minutes, and we just talk about various things. But one of our members, I'm not going to call him out by name here, but it's taken him a few months to really get around to that point. He had intentions to pay himself first, which is to block out, as an agency owner or a consultant, right? We oftentimes get caught up in putting out fires or playing whack-a-mole with our clients all the time, instead of working on building our own business, right? We're always building our clients' businesses, not our own. And you have to budget time out to build your own business. And if that's R&D, I mean, there's a component of that, right? R&D is a component of building your business. Studying or, putting in, building marketing materials for your own agency or your own business, as opposed to just always doing SEO or whatever you're doing for your clients. That's all important. And so you kind of have to block that time out. And for me and for the member that I was talking about in my accountability group, we both agree that it's like first thing in the morning. So, like, if I got to learn a new technique, or if I got to do work on learning how to do a new software or a new tool or something like that, a new app, like I'm in ClickUp right now. I've spent an enormous amount of time in ClickUp in the last few weeks, and I've built stuff in ClickUp and then throw it all away and then rebuild it again, because, you know what I mean? Like, it's irritating as hell, but it's one of those things that it's necessary. It needs to be done. So I'm best at that first thing in the morning. So I'll schedule about 90 minutes or 2 hours, depending on the day, to just focus on that first thing in the morning, because I know in the evening I'm burned out by the end of the day. I don't want to work on that shit then. Like in the evening, that's when I'll like do domain hunting, because that's like I can have the TV on and do that on my laptop when I'm, kind of not even really paying attention. But like in the morning when I've got to learn something new, that's where I'm the most creative. I know it's different for everybody else, but for me, that's when I'm the freshest. So that's when I'll do R&D. I'll learn new techniques. I'll study. I'll learn how to use a new app. I'll work on marketing materials for my own business or for semantic mastery or whatever. You know what I mean? So pay yourself first is my point. Budget time out first thing in the day. Like there's a great book by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog. And it's all about, prioritizing things and get the thing off your plate that is the most pressing first, right? The thing that, and a lot of times the stuff that we procrastinate on is the stuff that's the most pressing. So if you just get it done, get it out of the way, then it's done, and the rest of your day is going to be productive anyway. So
yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's the one. Like, what's the one thing you're procrastinating? Like, that's probably what you should be working on.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, that was a great question. We spent a lot of time on that, so we're going to move on. Alif says, "Hey guys, I started a small SEO agency and helped a client many months ago, they gave me 2 keywords they wanted to rank, and I got them ranked before. Now, after many months, they are wanting a refund and calling my service a scam because they didn't get traffic from the links I built. How do you deal with these types of issues? Tell them to piss off. I mean, honestly, I don't know, I wouldn't know what else to say about something like that. There's no, if you offered a guarantee, then you may have to eat the words. But if you didn't offer the guarantee, you said they are still ranked for 2 keywords. Yeah, then you did what you were supposed to do. You did your job. You put in your end, here's the thing. Like for client work, for example, I can rank a GMB for a client, and I can make sure that they're getting, 40, 50 calls for tree service jobs a month. And if they can't close because they're not answering the phone, which is why whenever I work with clients, I highly suggest that they run all the calls through a call center. But if they're not answering the phone, or if they're not following up with leads, or if they just can't sell and they can't close, that's not my fault. That's their fault. My job was to get the phone ringing. My job was to get them ranked and to get leads coming into their business. And, as a business advisor, right, I want to help them to build systems and processes so that they can process those leads and make money from that. And that's something that can significantly increase your value if you can help them not only doing SEO and link building and stuff like that, but help them to become better at their business, business processes, sales, things like that. Now, that might not be, what you were hired to do, but I'm just saying, that's something you may want to consider going forward. But if my initial job with a company, and oftentimes we will ease into kind of more of a business consultancy. That's not usually right off the bat that's how it occurs, the engagement. Usually it's an SEO thing, like, hey, I can help you to generate more leads. And then after we've built a relationship, then I, nudge them along with, okay, let's build some processes and systems into your business so that you can manage these leads better. You're more efficient with them. You'll close more of them. You know what I mean? But if initially my job is to get the phone to ring, which that's initially usually what my job is, and I get the phone to ring and they're not making any damn sales, is that my fault or their fault? That's their fault. It's not my fault. I did my job. Does that make sense? So, again, I don't know what kind of commitments you made to them, but if you committed to them to, if you held up your end of the deal, which was 2 keywords ranked, and you did that, then if they're asking for a refund, piss off, man. Like, I mean, I don't know how to say that in a very, you got to be more diplomatic about it than that. But honestly, I don't know what to tell you. I tell them, like, I did what I was supposed to do. There's my results. It's proven. You got rank trackers, everything else that can show that. If that's what you committed to and you did that, then, I don't know what else to tell you.
I have been in that situation as well. The key here is managing expectations and basically getting an agreement on which KPI is important. So, and only have one KPI that you're doing for them. So it's either traffic, it's either leads, rankings, or any of those. Like even Facebook, if you ever ran Facebook advertisements, they call this objective. So like you either have an engagement, you have a like, you have like a lead, you have like as here traffic, a conversion. So like that's literally the key. So once that KPI or objective is locked in, that's exactly what you deliver and you both agreed on. And if later is like there's a disagreement or they come to you with that, then it's like ideally you have that in written form, then you can have clearly a discrepancy because like either they want traffic or they want the ranking in that case.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, to take something away from this, I totally agree with what Bradley and Chris said. And in this case, I'd tell them tough, like you did your job. And, if they need something else, but, moving forward now you can see ahead what potential issues there could be with a client and sidestep that by making sure, like Chris said, you have the right KPIs identified, or saying, shit, if I rank them and I did my homework, I know that's still not going to bring them traffic. So even if we did agree on that KPI, they might not be happy. So how can I deal with that ahead of time? And just kind of learning that process. And that's how you do it, by getting clients, doing it again, do it again.
Yep, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing is, and Chris made a good point too. Like, same with Google ads. When you set up a campaign with Google ads, there's always an objective. What is the goal of the campaign? Is it leads? Is it exposure? Is it traffic? Is it phone calls? Is it sales? Opt-ins? Like what? There's a number of conversion goals essentially that, and so that's pretty much the same thing. Like, and again, for me, typically what I'm selling is leads. Whether I'm selling my own leads to a contractor or I'm telling them that I will have their digital presence produce more leads based on the work that I do for them. And that's my lead in. That's usually what I go for is my one KPI initially is leads. Then once we establish a relationship, then I try to get them to become more, build some efficiencies into their business so that they can close more of those leads and make more revenue, which means they invest more money back in with my services. And it just, everybody's happy. So I'm sorry you're going through that. It is what it is. Welcome to the world of consultancy and agencies. It is what it is. Braden says, how would you approach content production and monetization for a local citywide directory? I am thinking to offer free listings to all my clients for 6 months to populate it and then power up the domain before charging a monthly subscription. Also, would an SEO shield work for a site like this? How would you approach the shield with different categories? Well, yeah, okay, Braden. If you're decided that that's what you want to do as a citywide directory, then good for you, and I hope that works out. I don't particularly like that approach. It makes sense to have a city directory that it's authoritative in the city, but there is kind of a finite number of businesses that you can bring into that, and also depending on that, there's complexity in that, of which part of your question brings that up, which is there's a ton of different categories. Here's what I see as an issue with a general business directory is there are so many different categories. The site is not an authority on any one of them. So it's very hard to gain traction. Yes, you can make it locally relevant, and that's kind of the point, but it's hard to compete with a lot of the big national directories that have the same kind of number of general categories, right? Business categories, but have locations, like they have business categories for every location. And so Yelp is incredibly powerful. If you do any backlink analysis for local businesses, you'll see that like Yelp, and in my case, like Angie, formerly Angie's List, Home Advisor, Lawn Starter, some of those, big directory sites that are, when I go look at backlink analysis and I'm looking at competitors, like top ranked competitors, the directory sites have little to no kidding. You can check it yourself, little to like close to zero external backlinks. And yet they're ranking top of, in the top 5 results all the time. Why is that? It's because they're authoritative domains, and you're going to be competing with that. And it's hard to do on a local level with like local clients. I can compete with Yelp and Angie's List and Home Advisor and all that kind of stuff, because the site that we're going to build, even though there's not near as much authority, and I don't mean Moz domain authority, although that is part of it. I just mean like the brand authority, the authority of the entity, because I'm going to have a super topically relevant site that's going to be competing, and I'm going to have external backlinks, right? But what I'm saying is a lot of the times those general business directories, they're ranking on their authority alone and internal links, not on external backlinks. And so my point is they have a lot of authority built into them because they're so large. If you're staying on a local level with a directory and you have all these different categories, you're not topically an authority. You're not a topical authority on any one of them, if that makes sense. So it's very difficult to make way in organic ranking with a general business directory, unless like it's super geographically, locally relevant. And so there's things that you can do for that. But personally, I think you're way better off if you select a particular industry. Like if you search for tree service directory, my directory site's #1. And there's not an enormous amount of SEO done to that. It's just decent structure, logical structure, and some backlinks, mostly press releases. And I'm ranked #1 for tree service directory nationwide. So it's much easier to get traction with a niche specific directory, right? An industry specific. And besides that, you get to know that industry really well. So all of your marketing messages, all of the vocabulary that you speak can be completely or hyper targeted towards that specific business or industry. It's much easier to rank. I mean, think about it. My directory site's less than a year and a half old. It's maybe 14 months old, and I'm ranked #1. So for me, like I got another 2 different organic leads. I also get spammers that submit listings that we go and delete immediately that aren't tree service related. But I get a lot of organic leads now from all over the country, meaning I get people that come submit, tree contractors that submit their listings. And that's with not me doing, I mean, we do outbound prospecting. We're not doing it right now, but that's just organic user submitted listings. And so I would highly encourage you to consider doing an industry specific directory. However, that all said, if you still want to do a local business directory and be a general business, you like all these different categories, there's a lot of complexity with that. It's very difficult. You're going to have separate, like if you're going to do an SEO shield, which yes, it's still powerful. I have an SEO shield for my tree service directory, but it's all tree service related, right? If you look on my homepage in my tree service directory, you'll see there's the different, tree removal, tree trimming, stump grinding, land clearing. There's those different categories. And so I have like an SEO shield with a G site and then a drive stack. And I have the primary folder, which is branded, and then the subfolders, which are like silos for each one of the subcategories. And I don't have them all done. I think I got the top 5 done. A couple of them like snow removal and anyways, landscaping and things like that. I don't have that built into the shield because that's not really my market. Those are just kind of what are called tangent markets. But so the main ones are there. And so it's much easier in that way to build authority and get traction that way. And as far as like the directory and doing monetized listings, like paid listings, that's a monetization method. You can certainly do that. I just like to use the directory for prospecting, for starting a conversation with my target prospects so that I can upsell them into marketing services. But you can sell premium listings. One of the things, if you're going to do that though, is to make your authority strong enough to where those pages rank. Does that make sense? So like the directory page for the client ranks, and not just for their brand search. That's helpful to, at least initially, that you can usually get that to rank for the brand search fairly easily, but for a category search, right? So like their industry, a generic keyword search for their industry plus location, if you're able to get your directory page or their directory page ranked for that, now you've got something that you can charge for. I just find it hard. Like, again, I don't think until the directory is at a point where when somebody's doing a generic keyword search, your directory page listing for that company can rank. I don't think it's hard to pay to monetize that or to justify any more than just, a few dollars a month for that. So all of that is to say the directory, I think it's a great method. It's been my most successful in 10 years of doing SEO, digital marketing. It's been the most successful prospecting method I've ever used. So I really think it's a great model, but I don't think on a local level, it's a good model. I think you're better off selecting a niche that you have some sort of interest in that is lucrative. And then building a niche-based directory around that. It's not that difficult to rank those to be the number 1 directory for that, right? Because then you got the entire country, or even more than that if you want, as your prospect, your base, right? That's your target market. Whereas with your local business directory in whatever city it is that you're in, you have kind of a finite amount of businesses. I mean, yeah, there's probably a lot of businesses, but a lot of them aren't going to be interested anyways. And you know what I mean? And then again, it's very hard to build authority into that site because it's not topically focused around any one thing. It's so general. It's very difficult to gain traction in that. So that's just my experience. Yes, you can do an SEO shield and all that. It would have to be massive because you'd have to have all the different subcategories. You can have, hierarchy in that with like, big categories and in the subcategories within each one of those large categories, like, for example, like home services and health and legal, right? Those would be like top level categories. But then in each one of those, how many sub niches are there, right? Like in legal, there's personal injury law, divorce law, family law, like immigration law, there's all that. And for home services, there's HVAC and plumbers and electricians and fencing contractors and roofers and landscapers and lawn care. And I mean, it goes on and on and on. So how do you build authority in any one of those? It's incredibly difficult. I think you're much, much better off selecting one industry and going after that. And that's just my opinion. So hopefully I didn't shoot you down. I want to take the wind out of your sail, man. I'm just trying to prevent you from going after something that's going to take so long to get any traction that you're going to lose interest. You're better off picking something that you have an interest in that is, I'm in a home services industry, I always have been. So there's, pick one, pick something that interests you and start to build a directory on that. Come join the mastermind, join the Build with Bradley group with a directory build. It starts not tomorrow, but 2 weeks from tomorrow. And select a niche. I'm going to walk you through how to build it. And then after there, how to build a prospecting machine and everything else and how to monetize it. It's a good opportunity. So, but if you decide to do a local business directory, by all means, keep me posted. Let me know how it goes. I'm not trying to kill your dreams, man. That's not it at all. I just would rather you be successful faster. And I think you would do that with a industry specific directory. Okay, Tinyhead says, howdy crew. How do you all approach GMB rankings and citations for a service business that has multiple service area listings with no physical address? Will media citations work? From like Marketers Center, thanks. Appreciate your input as always. Yeah, you can rank. Certainly citations help, but if you're doing lead gen stuff or you have unpublished street address, which a lot of service area businesses do, as per Google's terms of service. But not only that, a lot of contractors, like, again, I work with tree service contractors. A lot of them don't want their street address published. And somebody doesn't want the street address published, so you might want to be wary about working with them. Like, no, I'm kidding, because it makes sense. A lot of those work out of their homes, like they're, they have their business registered to their home and they don't want that published. And I get that. So in that case, we don't build citations, not structured citations, not traditional citations, which are business directory listings. We build unstructured citations or non-traditional citations, which are, social citations, press releases, as you mentioned, media citations, which are, press releases and social citations, video citations, image citations, document citations. There's a number of ways to do it. And yes, for years, we've been doing that, ranking Google business locations without traditional citations. In fact, like I said, I'm developing the SOPs right now for the full Google business process checklist, which you can get at the top of this page for free. You can get the checklist for free, but the full SOPs been working on that all week. And I go through a whole entire section about that, about building citations only if it's a valid business location that has a published street address. If not, I go through, because most of the businesses I work with do not publish a street address. So I've been doing that for years, is ranking them without traditional citations. And what I call non-traditional citations, and it works fine. It takes a little longer. You can certainly get a little bit faster results with typical business directory listings, but you don't need them. It helps if you can use them, but you don't need them, is what I'm saying. So, by the way, I also, I share all of my providers and everything, and where I use those providers and how I use them. All of that is part of the SOPs. So the whole goal with that was that our mastermind members could assign the template or a workflow. You run a workflow from the template, but assign a workflow to a virtual assistant, and they can go through and optimize a Google business listing the same way that I do, just by following the training. It's not, the checklist does that, but it doesn't have the training. The checklist is like, okay, here's all the items. It doesn't tell you how to do those items. The SOP does, with full-on training, video training, checklist items, helper text for everything, links to everything, super, super elaborate. So, and it's only about 60% done after 3 full days of working on it. Anyway, George says, hey, Bradley and SM crew, can we republish blog content from our money sites into the Drive stacks and Cloud stacks, or will this cause duplicate content issues? No, it won't. Lastly, are you regularly adding content into your Cloud stacks and Drive stack? Thanks. No, not really. I mean, not adding like new pages and posts to that, but I embed my money site all the time. I embed my press release or press advantage organization pages. You can embed RSS feeds. You can do a number of things. I embed, you can embed your syndication network properties. So Tumblr and WordPress and Blogger, if you're syndicating to those, whenever you're publishing content from your money site. And so again, I like to embed all of my money assets into those kind of shield properties, so that when I'm publishing content on the money sites, they're getting automatically updated with new content. It's not creating new pages, but they're getting new content on the existing structure that is built with the Drive stack and the G sites and stuff. And that's typically how I do it. The ID page, all that. We do a lot of embeds, iframe stacking. And so that's dynamically updated content through the iframes, if that makes sense. We build the initial structure with the G site and the Drive stack and all that, which kind of mirrors the site structure. It's called theme mirroring. Talking about that for years. So once we have the initial structure in place, then it's mostly run through embeds. Now, I did talk about the content mirroring method, which we gave away for free from Black Friday to Cyber Monday. Now you can get it in the mastermind, but you can't get it outside of the mastermind, because we only gave it away through that 3-day window. But the content mirroring method is a very specific and unique technique for using like Google Business Posts that then you mirror into YouTube videos, and then you mirror that into G site like sub pages, so a silo on the G site, and then you can do that with press releases. You can add Blogger, another layer of Blogger in there, and do the same thing. And so that's where you would go in and manually. And I don't recommend anybody here do that except for once, and then hire a VA. That's what the SOPs are that I create, so that you can plug a VA into it and have them do it for you. Still go through it once, but you learn the process and then you hand it off, delegate it so that you don't have to do it. It's time consuming, but it works. So again, the process docs I'm creating for the mastermind right now for the Google business process, it talks about doing the 3 push silos, which is always required. If, again, go through the Google business process checklist, you can get it right at the top of this page. It's free. You'll see what I'm talking about. Push silos, I always do 3 for every Google business asset. There's one that links, the top of silo post links to the Google business website. Then there's one for the map URL, and then one for the location landing page. It's called 3 push silos. That's a base, and we use that. You can mirror that same structure into Blogger, G sites, press releases, YouTube videos. You can do a YouTube silo out of the same, like mirror those Google business posts, right? 200 to 225 words of text, turn them into videos. Now you've got a YouTube silo. Then you silo that into a Blogger silo, and then you silo that into a G site, right? And then you can do press release silos to promote all that shit. Now you've got all these like structured URLs that you can now just hammer with links and embeds. It all flows through eventually to the money site, the Google business website, and the Google map. Boom, there, you've ranked. That's part of the process, right? So yeah, I mean, as far as constantly adding new pages and stuff to that structure, I don't like to do that. It's very, very time. I mean, if I got a VA doing it's fine, but it's still very time intensive. So the idea is to build the structure right, and then you have embeds in place so that you can just dynamically update those with content that's being published through Google Business Posts, which you should be doing regularly anyways, RSS feeds, and your money site. Those three things right there can update all of your structure that you build. Again, it's all build the structure right one time, and then it will pay off over and over and over again over time by just adding new content through other methods. Press release is one of my favorite methods for content marketing and link building. Press release organization page on Press Advantage has an iframe version of it. If anybody has Press Advantage, they have an organization page where there's the forward after pressadvantage.com / there's organization. If you put an I underscore in front of organization after the first /, then it turns it into an iframe version of that page. That's what you iframe into stuff. Then every time you publish a press release, it dynamically updates. And the Press Advantage organization page is an iframe stack in and of itself. Was that on accident, or you think it was on purpose? It was on purpose. So a lot of the stuff that we do, again, it's, you know, you can continually add silos and depth to silos or more silos, right? But it's not really necessary. If you have a good solid structure that you can build and then mirror across multiple properties, then you can, again, with iframes inserted in strategic locations, you can update every one of those structures from just publishing it from 3 locations. The ones that I use are the Google Business website, blog posts from the money site, and press releases. Those 3 things right there update the whole structure, right? Very powerful method, and it works. It works every time. It has been for years. Knock on wood, it'll continue to work. Gordon says, hey guys, if you have a multi-city local lead gen site and you're linking either from or to a city page, you start that again. If you have a multi-city local lead gen site and you're linking either from or to a city page or an SEO geolocation booster page, what kind of anchor text should you use? Should it just be the raw URL of either page? Or if linking from the city page to the geolocation page, should the anchor text be the city name? I use the city name. It's about relevance, link relevance, right? So, you know, if you go to the local prominence plugin, they've got some couple good YouTube videos on their page about how to use their plugin, even whether you use their plugin or not. You can build geo pages or posts manually. It's fine. The plugin just helps to automate that. To a degree, but they have some pretty good training on there about how to do it. And you know, I don't like to do, like, for example, if I'm going to create geo posts to add location relevance to a particular silo, for example, or to a location landing page, for example, most of the time I'm not going to make those like posts that are found in the navigation menu, or like, in other words, they're not prominent posts on the site, because that's not. They're literally optimized specifically for location terms, not necessarily location plus service. I like topically relevant blogs or supporting posts to be found and part of the overall, you know, main site structure, because that adds topical authority, right? It builds topical authority. But the geo posts are really about just, you know, helping to push location relevance into it for ranking purposes. It's not really, you know, it doesn't really make sense to go to a tree service site and find a post specifically about a nearby park, right? That doesn't really make sense, but it does help to add location relevance. So there's a reason and a way to use those properly to build that geographic relevance. But I don't make those like a very prominent post. So why I'm saying this, Gordon, is because I might have one mention of one of the geo post locations that I have published a post for, right, in the main top of silo page, the location landing page. And then that page, when that mention occurs, that will be a link to that first geo post. And you know, you can even mask the text or the link anchor text to where it doesn't appear to be a link at all, right? But it's still a link. It's a hyperlink. And then from there, I daisy chain the geo post together. And then on the last post, there's a link back up to that location landing page, right? The top of silo page usually. And that's, again, because it basically hides all those other posts. They don't have to be present in the, you know, on the blog roll page or anything else. But so they're like orphaned posts, not really, because there's a link from at the top of the into the first post in that, you know, location silo, so to speak. And then there's a link at the bottom of it that links back so that it completes the loop, right? It completes the circle. And it's a way to just kind of push relevance from one post to another, all within one specific area, and then back up to location landing page. But I don't like to, you know, put like a menu at the bottom with all the different locations and then link out to all of them, because then I think you dilute the topical relevance a bit of that page, which is really what I want people to focus on. If they're, remember guys, most of the time people aren't landing on your local websites to read about the content. They're just there to, you know, find the contact information to call or make a purchase or whatever, schedule an estimate, whatever. We do all the shit that we do most of the time. It's not really for people to become more educated on tree service methods. In my case, it's so that they can be found in Google and they can call them because they got a tree they want down. Does that make sense? So to get back to your question, Gordon, I think, yeah, I use the city name because it's about link relevance. But like I said, I only do it usually in one location from the top of silo page. It goes into like the location silo, so to speak, and all the supporting posts are daisy chained together with the last one linking back up. So it you know, closes the loop, if that makes sense. Anyway, you mentioned 2 weeks ago regarding multi-city local lead gen sites that if you prefer to use a non-EMD domain and use the city and niche in the city page meta title, yes. Meta description, H1 tag and content, but I wasn't quite sure how you format your city page URLs. Do you use page slugs that also contain the city and the niche? No, for me, the way that I do it is just the city name. Because again, most of the tree service sites that I have tree service in the domain, whatever the brand name is, tree service or tree removal or tree care, something, you know, synonymous with tree service. So that will be in the domain name. So when I do a location page, it's usually / city name. That's it. And that's just the way I like it. I like it short and succinct because in the title tag, the SEO title, I have the keyword plus location. And so again, if there's 4 data points that the Googlebot first looks at, right? It's SEO title, the slug, the URL, the meta description, and then the H1 tag. And if you have the exact match keyword in all 4 locations, then already you've got a real high optimization score that can trigger over optimization very easily. So I like to kind of de-optimize the URL. The SEO title is where I think the most important place to have the exact match keyword is. I like to use synonyms or variants of the exact match keyword in the H1 tag, and then I'll use another variant in the meta tag or the meta description, excuse me. So hopefully that makes sense. For me, I like to de-optimize the URL. And then H1 tag and the meta description are usually where I have variants of the exact match keyword. So the exact match keyword is typically going to be in the SEO title, and that's it. And that's just the way that I do it. It's been working for years. So, okay. All right, so I'm going to move on. Dan says, hey guys, I have a new physiotherapy client. He had 2 GMBs registered at the same location. I had him remove one, but there are still 2 other businesses at the same location, yoga and registered massage therapists. Will that be a problem ranking his GMB moving forward? Thanks much. No, and the reason why is we just had one of our mastermind members ask a question. Well, it wasn't related to what you're asking, but it's the same answer, which is, like, for example, you have a multi-location business. If the brand name is going to be the same, like, if a lot of, when I have multi-location businesses, which I deal with a lot of those, I always recommend that we append the city name to the end of the brand name for each location. So there could be the initial location is just the brand name, but then for each subsequent location, we append the city name. So it's brand plus city as the official kind of name for that location. And I do that because it does help a little bit with the GMB ranking, but also it differentiates, it creates a more unique name because each city name is unique, right? But what I'm saying is not every client wants that. And it's not necessary because here's the thing. There's 4 data points included with the NAP. There's the name, address, phone number, and in the website URL. Any one of those can be common across all multiple locations, but you have to keep the other 3 data points, whatever those may be, unique, or else you cause ambiguation issues, right? You can ambiguate the NAP and then it will cause significant problems for ranking any of those assets that share more than 1 data point in common. In other words, if you have the same location name, business name, across multiple locations, that's perfectly fine, provided that each address, street address is different or unique. Each phone number is unique, and each website URL is unique. So it's easy to do because if you have the same brand name across multiple locations, you have a unique street address, a unique local phone number, and you should have a unique landing page, right? Location landing page. So it's okay to have the same data point as the same name. It can be the same way if you have, the same address with multiple businesses at the same address, as long as there's a unique business name, a unique, the address could be common, but then unique phone numbers for each business and unique website or URLs for each business, right? That's associated with the Google business profile. So it's okay as long as you have only one commonality among those 4 data points. If you have more than one, then that causes problems. So, and I've seen that over the years many, many times. BB says, will the new store will include backlinking service? We're not launching a store, BB. We're launching a content business, done for you content, SEO tuned content. And then I have a link building business right now that will eventually come under as a separate business, but will come under Semantic Mastery. Right now I'm managing that through my agency, but it will come under Semantic Mastery once our content business gets off the ground. So there's a link building business and a content business. It's not a store. We got out of the store business. What about the shield and the PRs? No, we won't be doing shields. As my link building business, there might be some components that are similar to that. They won't be SEO shields. That is purely with the Heavy Hitter Club store. That's not part of what we're going to be doing. There might be some similar type of stuff, but not copies at all. I'm developing my own stuff and have been for months now. And that's what we will be selling as part of the link building. Okay. PRs, press releases. Yes, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Press release is such an integral part of what I do. We have a great relationship with Jeremy at Press Advantage. It will absolutely be part of both our content business and our link building business because it serves both, right? What kind of content service will include? Money site content, super well optimized content. There will be link building content as well, which will be about half the price of money site content because tier 1 link building content should be well tuned as well. It should also be well tuned, I should say. It's so much more effective that way. Will it include the writing? Yes. What about the technical side? Yeah. Keyword research. Yes. Schema, maybe not right off the bat, but that's probably going to be part of an add-on service available. But yeah, we're going to do, my goal with that is to create a topical map. When somebody comes to us, they give us the keyword, we develop a full topical map for them to show them what it's going to take to become the topical authority for that keyword set. And then we sell it. Here's the plan. You can determine how aggressive you want to be at accomplishing that plan. There'll be different levels that you can buy content from us, subscription models, that sort of thing. So all of that will be kind of announced in 2 weeks, guys, or roughly 2 weeks. We're going to try to get that opened up to the rest of everybody outside of the mastermind mid-February. We're going to try. Okay. Jim Dub says, you recently mentioned that you are now using WPX for hosting. Their hosting is extremely fast due to their heavy caching. I'm considering moving a number of sites over to them, but I've heard a number of negative reviews with regards to hosting dynamic content or pages due to the very limited resources they provide to each domain or app. One reviewer said 1 core and 256 megabytes of RAM. Have you tested a site with dynamic context, such as using external API feeds? No, I haven't, Jim. It's kind of, I don't do anything with that. I've not had any problems with anything that I've done with WPX at all. Their support has been phenomenal for me. I'm really happy with WPX, so I haven't had any problems, but I haven't done anything that you're talking about, so I can't speak on that. I'm sorry, dude. We're almost out of time, guys. I'm going to try to blast through a couple of these really quick. Ralph says, hey, guys, I've been using Link Processor, create backlinks to hopefully improve rankings for both website, blog posts, and videos on YouTube. I'm using Link Processor. I think that integrates with Damon Nelson's VidPenguin 2. It's the first time I'd even heard of it. So I do have a subscription with them. It's just so it automatically backlinks the videos that I submit through VidPenguin, but I don't really have any experience with it. Can't say whether it's good or not. So I'm wondering if you guys have ever used this, and I'm wondering if it's helpful or hurtful to use Link Processor.net. Again, I just bought VidPenguin 2 from AppSumo, bought 3 codes. I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, and I've only added a couple of videos to it. I've got plans to do a lot of stuff, but I've got with some other stuff, which we'll talk about another time. And so I got Link Processor because it automatically integrates with that. I don't have any experience with that outside of that. I can't tell you. The best indexers we've talked about many times over the last several weeks. The best indexers that I know of right now are speed-links.net, which is here. Speed-links.net. This Omega Indexer still works, but it doesn't work as good as it used to. And then there's indexmenow.com. which that's very expensive, but they have a 10-day guarantee. If the link isn't indexed in 10 days, then you get the credit back. It's very expensive, but it's, I haven't really seen anything that it can't index yet. I had one URL that it couldn't index and I got the credit back. Again, it's very expensive, but it works well. As far as what you're asking about, I just can't speak on it. I don't know, other than I've got it connected for YouTube pinging, like, indexing YouTube stuff. Next question, if you have time, I'm wondering about the Viper tools. Do you think Big Google will catch on to this and penalize accounts? I don't know. I know Michael has put an enormous amount of work into that to randomize stuff so that that's not an issue. And I trust him. I'm using Viper tools. I don't think it's going to be a problem, or else I wouldn't use it. So, okay, guys, did I miss anything that needs to be answered? Are we good?
I think just one at the bottom. We could pick that up next week. I think we're out of time, so I think we're good.
Okay, guys. Sorry I couldn't get to all of them. Come join the mastermind. I'll be happy to spend some more time with you.
Bye, everybody.
Got to get that last pitch in.
I love it.
All right, guys. See you. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Cheers.